Hey guys, what's up? It's Schla coming back to ya with a frigid episode of Car Rides with Schla, or it's really a wind-chilling, bone-chilling episode of Car Rides with Schla. As for today, I think my cold symptoms have probably gotten a little bit worse, but there has been some shifting in other areas of how I'm feeling, so it's not all for nothing. Basically, the nose is runnier. The nose is more runny today, but the throat is now less scratchy, although it's maybe a broader scratchiness. So we're at an alright trajectory, I would say. We're feeling a little bit better. I'm kind of upset that my perma immunity is not here yet, but hey, at least it is simply a simple cold. I was pretty shocked just now. I don't think I've ever had this happen before, but a yellow jacket came flying out of nowhere, I assume coming down from a tree, and landed in my beard. And I almost didn't even notice it. And I was almost not even going to brush it out, but then I just had a hunch that something had landed on me. And so I decided to brush it off, and I just brushed it off. Now, luckily, he didn't do anything because he's likely not in his healthiest condition, being the temperature and bugs and maybe yellow jackets in particular, I don't think are very fond of frigid temperatures. It's probably not their cup of tea, if you will. I don't know what other updates I really have. Oh, why do I reflexively keep doing that? It's pretty strange, honestly, because I do have updates, but I keep saying oh, I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to say. And it's like, I do have something to say, so why do I keep saying that? I ordered the microphone. I think I talked about that in this episode's Car Rides with Schla. This morning's. What do you mean this episode? This isn't Car Rides with Schla. But yeah, this morning, the AM episode of Car Rides with Schla, I believe I said I got a very good deal on the lightning port microphone, and I truly think it makes the most sense because I do have two lightning port devices, an iPhone 14 Plus and an iPhone 13 mini, that are current and up to date, and I actually even have the product Red 7 Plus that it would still be compatible with. I just don't really include that because it's not as current. But the interesting thing is, I looked into the metals recently and how titanium is actually less dense than stainless steel. So I probably would have liked the stainless steel iPhones more, and it's kind of a shame that I wasn't buying any tech around that time because I didn't have a job, and I don't know, I just used to not really buy new technology very often, but of course that's different now. Now it's just something I chronically do. I'm addicted to throwing more and more money at these tech companies that likely don't have my best interest in mind. And anyways, I realized this though, that the iPhones 10 through 14 Pro use this very nice stainless steel perimeter, and that is actually a denser and heftier metal than titanium. So texturally, I would likely enjoy the texture. So it could be an excuse for me to get a 14 Pro Max, because then I could have a stainless steel iPhone, which I was considering, but again, I mean, even now I'm probably not going to end up getting it, because I mean, it's just like about $500 down the drain for something I entirely don't need, but it's still interesting and would kind of justify it, because like I said, there's a lightning port and a USB-C port, lightning port variant and a USB-C variant, and the lightning port variant is dirt cheap because obviously lightning is obsolescent. Now I'm trying to talk louder because it's windy, but at the same time I have a cold, so I'm not as strong as I should be, and I don't know if my winter coat is in my car yet or not, so I'm kind of out here right now in the frigid cold. But yeah, so I was looking into the different finishes of the iPhones, and I think that could be a cool little thing for me to obtain at some point. I love having phones, so I should probably sell some of my older ones and kind of have a great reset, if you will, and maybe pick up one of these stainless steel ones. Seems like a super cool little optimization I could do for myself here. Still though, the iPhone Air is really the jewel of what I have my eyes on. I actually think I like it so much. I like the concept of it so much. I will probably, I'm thinking I might get one in a couple months, maybe when the price is down lower, unless I just impulsively pull the trigger on it right now, which is entirely possible at this rate, knowing me. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, but it just could happen at any time. I check eBay to see if there's any good deals. I've passed up a few good deal iPhone Airs. I'm not entirely sure what color I should get, so you know, there's, yeah, I don't really know exactly what I want yet when it comes to the iPhone Air, so I'm kind of holding off a little bit. Interesting. And yeah, still figuring that out. Something I actually felt like this morning's car rides with Schla was one of the better ones I've done in a pretty long time. I was pretty impressed with myself and the, I guess, is it metaphor that I made or analogy? Not sure which one it would be in this specific context, but it's comparing humans to domesticated animals and how we had such a good system that we could essentially create heaven on earth for all for a period of time, and then now we're seeing that things are returning back to the wilderness. So this is a more animalistic world at this point, where people are less caring and a lot of the social fabrics have just been completely eroded that once kept things fairer, once kept things better in society. And comparing hyperindividualism to the different breeds of domesticated dogs, which, while there is some ethical concerns with, do reach a higher level in a way where something is bred or created with maybe a more vain purpose. It's a higher manifestation of every different combination. And I don't want to dwell on this topic too much because I already talked about it during car rides with Schla. But hey, I'm probably going to end up repeating myself like really often, so I might as well just do it. I mean, the whole point of this is just like, I'm compulsively recording myself and just putting it down. So I don't really, I mean, yeah, who cares if I repeat myself or whatever? It's just supposed to be some kind of a documentation. And so, yeah, it's basically like that. And in humans, the same way. Humans now are far more individualistic and a more domesticated manifestation of what they were in the wild. When humans were in the wild, obviously in the wild, humans were stronger, but we were not as high of a manifestation of our potential. You know, modern life and essentially modern domestication, while it has made us weaker, has allowed certain a broader variety of trait manifestations to occur. And some are inefficient and some aren't, but I think that's ultimately the marvel of humanity and our ability to domesticate and again create heaven on earth. There's definitely something special about it and something to be said. So I just like to point it out, I guess. And it came to me very automatically. So I was, while driving, like this connection came to my mind. And so I think it's very interesting, that it just came to me. And I feel like it's a good explanation for a lot of people. I think I'm just so happy with this AM Car Rides with Schla. I don't know what episode it is, but I believe we will hit episode 200. Probably, it could actually be, no, that might have been 199. I'm trying to do some quick math in my head. No, it might have been no, yeah, I think it would be 199, but that's a really rough guess, so don't hold me to that. I'm just guessing for fun. But I believe I'm talking about episode 199, so I think that means tonight will be episode 200, which is kind of crazy because, again, like I said, I've never actually followed through with anything, and I've definitely never followed through with anything without affirmation from other humans. So a pretty core belief of mine for a very long time was that something doesn't matter if a living thing doesn't care about it, because without a living being's care, something is essentially dead. It's essentially inanimate. So that has really resulted in, I think, many shortcomings for pursuits of mine, because that is true, and I still will continue to stand by that theory. However, there is some nuance to it, I suppose, and the nuance is that while that is true, oftentimes some of the best ideas do not have popular appeal. So then what do you do about that? Do you just abandon all these not mainstream but good ideas? That doesn't make a lot of sense. So, but it's true, and it's true that, technically what I do is it's not mainstream, and it's not going to really have mainstream appeal or anything like that. But I don't think that's really a problem, I was kind of just in autopilot that whole time. I don't know what I was talking about, really. What I remember now, what I was actually trying to point out is just that reaching 200 episodes of Car Rides with Schla is easily the longest piece of solo work that I have ever actually accomplished, because anything else I had done eventually fizzled out, or there wasn't really as much effort put into it. So when it comes to my music is probably the only other example of a long-term project that I have continued, although I would consider my music career pretty dead at this point. I dropped a really short album back in May at the kickstart of the series Car Rides with Schla, but prior to then, the last full-length album I dropped, I think, was in 2021. So it's been a very long time since I've really had a true interest in music. And I would always lose interest with things, but this talking thing seems like my cup of tea. I think I have said this before on Car Rides with Schlas that, I think out of anything, talking is just my forte. And I don't know. It has been, I guess, strange because, I think I had explained before, I didn't particularly think I was specifically good at talking for a very long time. And I don't know. Maybe for a brief moment I did, but like I said, I was always so concerned about views and reach because I value that higher than the product itself. But I don't know, for some reason I guess I've just gotten to a point in my life where I'm finally just getting to work and realizing maybe that, what I have to say and what I have to offer wouldn't really be appreciated anyway. And I don't know, that doesn't mean it's not true, but people are not going to really be that interested in what I have to say. I just don't think people will. So yeah, I think in a couple years though, once AI gets better, somebody will find this channel and probably think I'm pretty crazy for doing what I'm doing. It's pretty insane. I do remember what I was actually going to talk about, because there was a whole lot of other things I'd actually planned to mention in this Walks with Schla, but for some reason it didn't really end up coming to fruition. So that's kind of weird, isn't it? I just ended up going on this riff about a bunch of random stuff. But I guess maybe what will be the closing final topic is just how nervous and anxious I was to work, and seeing just how easy it is, and how, easy is the right word, but I think a more accurate word is easy, but at the same time pretty frustrating. It's not like work's hard unless you have issues with timing. It's hard to just wake up and go, I guess, for a lot of people. But the thing is, timing is also one of my fortes. Of course, I'm saying this while I may have just made it so I might have to jog back, which is not very forte of me, but in terms of the timing regard, but I think we may be okay. Not that I have a problem with jogging back a portion, but I just think with my cold, my body is not really interested in being pushed. We may be okay. We may be all right. We'll just have to see. And what I'm talking about is more important than what I'm doing in that building anyway. So it's what it is. But yeah, that's the thing with work and a job. I think the hardest part for most people is showing up, and that's not difficult for me at all. I think for me, it's very easy for me to show up on time and very consistently. I'm probably, if they had some kind of a score for this, I know they don't care, but I'm probably the most consistent employee in terms of how consistently I time in and out. And that's based on direct arrival, because some people may come in and sit in their car for a few minutes or something. So I'm basing it off of if there were cameras clocking when people's cars come in and leave, I would probably be the most consistent, and that's as like an underpaid worker. I think I'm going to have to break into a jog. My confidence about my work out here being much more important than my work in the building has dwindled, and I have to kind of push to make sure to ensure that I'm going to make it back inside on time, because I don't want to push anything too much. That's just no good. And I don't really know what else there is to touch on, but the work is a scam, and the older generations have robbed and stifled the younger generations, so it's really going to cause problems in the future, because the youth really needs to be enriched and guided, and instead we've been milked dry and killed opportunity. Opportunity has been stolen from us. The issue with hoarding wealth and the cost of living and everything, and people not being able to retire, is it causes more old people to cling on to their jobs. And in this day and age, you really don't want many old people in higher positions in companies, because the world's already changed so much. And the truth is, I know in politics, the average age of representatives is super high in America. I'd like to see the average age of CEOs, because I'm assuming it has also went up way too high. And really, people in power need to be younger, especially with how much society has changed and how poorly most old people have a comprehension of it. In my case, I don't really know anybody who has as thorough as me, and even with myself in the past year or two, it's expanded greatly, mostly due to AI. Anyways, it's been schla, but now it's time to buy schla. So, see you schla.